I think the one thing that I've learned in the last 15 years is that more is not always more. I think when I started out, you want to sort of put everything together in like one piece that you're creating, and you have that enthusiasm to put all your ideas together. But I think in the last 15 years, I've learned the art of like restraint. I think one of the most successful experiments, I would say, was to create the steel wire textile. And it was the most challenging as well, because when I first came up with the idea and I presented it to my team that I wanted to do a sari made out of steel, and everybody laughed at the idea and they thought I was crazy. But it obviously took a lot of months of R&D to like sort of come up with the textile. And in fact, it's been 6 years and we're still working on it and refining it constantly. But it was challenging because how do you first develop something which is as stiff and heavy as metal and steel into something really soft and malleable. Working on things like how do you construct it, how do you line it, how can people store it, how can people clean it, how do people travel with it. So all that functionality of it. So yeah, it's definitely been one of the most challenging experiments, but again, one of the most successful ones, since now our brand is like sort of synonymous with the metal wires. I've always been kind of inspired by art, and my focus and my approach towards my practice has always been to sculpt new textiles and create new textiles around the human form. Showcasing at Kiran Nadir Museum was such a perfect fit, because what better space to showcase your work in than being surrounded by the biggest artists in the country amongst their art. And it was, I feel, such an honor to present 15 years of my work surrounded by such beautiful art. When I was looking back at 15 years of my work, I had this huge sort of like chest full of like these small little things that I had tried 15 years back. And and when I looked at it together, I felt like those were failures that kind of sort of made way somewhere, sometime into my collection in a more refined way, subconsciously. Holding on to your failures is as important, because they're not really failures for me. They're like experiments that didn't work. That's just a constant design process that you experiment. Some things work, some things don't. I think over the years, I've kind of sort of mellowed down. I've kind of understood my audience a little bit better, and I definitely keep that in mind as well when I'm designing. And which is why even when I have like a wild abstract idea of, let's say, like creating steel into a sari, I kind of always imagine it on real people. I always imagine like how it would be functional, and then I design. I think that's something I didn't do way back in 2007, but that's something that I've learned over the years. The next 15 years, I definitely see myself diversifying into a lot more like verticals. There's so much that I've wanted to do, but because of restraints like not finding the right people to collaborate with, I've not been able to. But I definitely want to make my brand global. I definitely see myself doing a lot more things in terms of home textiles, in terms of sculptural designs, in terms of textiles, I don't know, like films as well. There's a lot of like random ideas in my head. There's a lot of like things that I want to do. So yeah, hopefully in the next 15 years.